Hello, guys. Welcome back. God of the day is Odin, and he just gave me this scary, no, by all means, my dear, permission to make the video. I've been trying last night, I tried this morning, I tried a couple times before now, and something has always gone wrong, or my train of thought just stops. But I said, "Damn it, old man, I love you, and you're going to take my love whether you like it or not." And he's like, "By all means, my dear," which probably means he'll get back at me later somehow. It's Odin. It's just like working with Loki, but amplified, older, and meaner, and with less of a sense of humor. I'm getting this kind of look, but I think I'm okay. People will say, why do people that work with Odin keep taking him back? Because of stuff like this. I saw these online, really didn't mention to Odin that I liked him. In fact, I think Odin asked me if I liked them. I said they look kind of stupid, actually. But of course I liked them. But I was like, yeah, like I have money for rune set. We got those. Got this. And I, hand to goddess, I had gone through a box of books on witchcraft and I turned around and that had not been in the box. I turned around and sitting there in the box, like just so. That is why Odin's people work with him. Got those, plus other books, got 17 books in total for $4. Got a free pepper because he's also associated with fertility and farming. It's very slim association we have, but he is associated with it. If he wants to do it, Odin's going to do it, and he's a lot like Lou because he's going to do it and it's going to be fucking done better than anybody else can do it. If Odin's going to be a blacksmith and we have one reference to it, he's going to be the best fucking blacksmith you ever saw. If Odin is going to pull a plow, I still don't know what the fuck that means, but if he's going to pull a plow, it's going to be fucking done so fucking good that people are going to be like, yeah, and cheering for pulling a plow. Anything he does, you're going to be fucking amazed because Odin did it. Let's just make this clear because Odin is doing it. Having humility is not one of his drawbacks. Having a low self-esteem is not an Odin drawback either, though he will act like that if he thinks it will get, extra points with you. 1 second, guys. Sorry about that, allergies. He is a gifted healer, but with Odin, it's like patch you up enough to run. If that makes sense. Patch you enough to get to work, do your work, go home and collapse. After that, you'll be okay, but it's not Jesus healing, let's put it that way. It's not Odin snaps his fingers. Usually it's not. But he will give you what you go to him for, usually. I mean, don't go to him for $1 million and think it's gonna show up. You might be sorry how it shows up if he decides to answer. But I'm getting this dreadful sense of amusement. But if you go to him for healing, or you say that you like a thing, or not so much physical things, but you would like to have a skill set or something, he will usually answer you, but it might take months, it might take years. But it's eventually going to come to you if he decides you need it, and he decides at what time in his planning you need it. He's an extremely long range, long game god, so he's not the god to go to if you're in a hurry and you need it now. He's not the god that's going to do that. Thor or Loki's going to answer you real fast. Sometimes Odin will answer you so fast your head will spin, but that's very rare and that's at Odin's discretion. He's stubborn as motherfucking hell. No god should ever answer to any human, but he is willful, and once he plants himself, he ain't fucking moving. He don't care what god or goddess you get. He don't care what kind of offerings you give. He don't care what you say or what you do. He ain't fucking moving. You are not moving Odin against his will. And that's actually something I admire about him because most people will be talking, about their gods like, oh, I got this, I got that, he. Not with Odin. That ain't gonna work. He can be very indulgent and loving with his people, but it's kind of, well, like you see, I got the books. And I got the pepper. And, if other stuff would come along, I would get that. But it's not going to be, like God of Luxury indulgence. But to me, he knew I wanted the books. And I got the books because I was willing to meet him halfway. He's been trying to keep me away from the bazaar on Saturday. He just doesn't want me there for some reason. Nothing's going to happen, nothing's going to go wrong. It's just there's two people there that he can't fucking stand. And he knows they're gonna be there. So he would like to keep me away from there. And he just does not like them even in the least. And I can't very well tell them since they're Christians, well, I serve Odin, and he just straight up does not like you. And so, since I'm willing to compromise with him and not go on Saturday, even though I know that since I made him a promise, there's something evil in me that I'll wake up on Saturday and want to go super bad because they might have Chick-fil-A or some kind of good shit. Um, I made the compromise with him, which is why I got, did I show you? Did I show you? I got this book and I got the rune set. So I don't know if I showed you that or not. I've been trying like for 2 days now to make this video, and Odin's that kind of god. He's, how badly do you want it? Prove to me how badly you want it. Once you've proven to me that you want it more than anything and you're willing to sacrifice to get it, then I will give it to you. He's very much the god of, someone said he will give a gift in one hand and a receipt in the other. That's kind of the best description I've heard of him. He's not that mercenary, but he can be. He's usually very kind and loving with his people. I mean, you guys know he picked her out. He picked her out. We ended up naming her Frau. So he picked her out. So he has a very sweet, adorable Oski side that, he's the Yule Father. He's coming and he's giving gifts to the children and, Sleipnir and everything else. And he's adorable and it's Yule time and is where we get the image of Santa Claus. Even Coca-Cola admits that vaguely on their website. But he was also at the same exact time simultaneously riding in the wild hunt and chasing people down. And if you were brave enough to face him, you had good fortune. If you ran, they'd never find you. I'm getting laughter back here. And he's just a god of extremes, and he's a god of absolutely everything. You can go to him for whatever you want. It's just sometimes Odin can be very rough, and he can play very rough with his people, and he can seem unsympathetic at times. He can seem cold and indifferent at times. He can, but he does have a warm, tender spot for his people at the same time. It just depends on whether he thinks you need a lesson. So he's sometimes the god of, yes, of course, dear, I'll do this for you, do that, like say healing or something. And sometimes it will come through, and sometimes it's like you just have to toughen up. Let me tell you about your ancestors. Have you ever seen anyone blood eagle? So results will vary, but I enjoy working with him because he's a challenge. And he will challenge you, and he will make you cry, and he will drive you insane, and he will repeatedly do things as Loki will to make you try to get him out of your life, but he wants us tough and independent. They're the two gods that, you can go to them for anything, but simultaneously, since they're both dual nature, they want you independent, because if you would be taken away from them, say those people he don't like would succeed and get me to go back to church and I'd swear off all pagan gods forever. Odin wants me to be a fucking survivor. He's like, I want you to be able to take care of yourself. I want you to have the skills to be able to take care of yourself, and so forth and so on. So he can seem merciless at times, but he does have great compassion. He's fiercely loyal to his people, and he's brutally honest. If he doesn't like another god or goddess for you, and for everyone it's going to be different, he's going to tell you. And he's going to find out what your weaknesses are, and like Loki, he's going to scruff you and just put your face in them and rub your face in them to see if you're ever going to overcome them. He knows I have a jealous streak a mile wide. He will find every opportunity he can to trigger that just to see if I'm going to work to overcome it. Because he's like, you're missing out on stuff just because you got that jealous streak, but you go ahead and you do that, be a fool. So I think I got this delighted smile. He can be the sweetest old man, and he can be the wickedest, most, not evil, but nasty son of a bitch that you've ever worked with. He's both extremes. He can be very kind and sweet. I know we keep repeating ourselves, but he runs that thing. He's can be very kind and very sweet. He can be almost new agey grandpa, sweetheart Odin, and then the next time special ops, black ops god shows up and you need some fucking discipline, and you're like, what did I do wrong? And it's just Odin. He's very unpredictable. He is not what I would call a starter god by any stretch of the imagination. He can sometimes be running this house almost like a military barracks, and then the next day it's like he's whimsical and it should be a toy store and we should be playing. It's Odin. He will terrify you out of your mind. All that said, he is not as extreme, in my experience, as some people say he is. He doesn't need us, harming ourselves. He doesn't need us doing self-harm. He doesn't need us hanging ourselves on meat hooks. Doesn't need us doing anything self-destructive, because a good soldier would not hurt themselves. A good soldier would try to be keeping themselves in fighting condition, not, harming themselves. He doesn't need us to think of ourselves as his soldiers or his wolves or anything else, though, if he's going to use a wolf or a soldier reference, it's going to be because he wants you to learn a lesson from that, so you might have to do some digging from it. And overall, he is a good god, and he is warm to a point, and he can be indulgent to a point, but he can also teach you discipline. So he's Loki the second, kind of. And he's probably going to have the shortest video, because it's like, really, Odin's impossible to describe. It's, you start working with him, and every single person that works with him, and before you put nasty comments in, there are all sorts of love. Every single person that works with him, that stays with him, falls madly in love with him. You can't help it. You're either all in and you love him and adore him, and every time he shows up you lose your mind, or you can't stand him. There doesn't seem to be any neutral opinion on Odin. Either you're madly in love with him and will walk through fire and make all these kind of foolish boasting promises to Odin, or you don't need to have him in your life. I have never seen anybody that's just like, meh, indifferent to him. He can do that with people like Loki can. The kind of rock star energy Loki has with people. With Odin, it seems like it's even worse. And you lose your mind because it's Odin. And all he has to do is, I've said it in the past, it's like he whistles and all of his people are like, Odin's here. Odin! And you're willing to do anything he tells you, and he has that kind of power over his people. And I don't think he's charming his people in the sense of using the magical charms and runes he knows. I think it's just the influence of his personality. He's the most handsome, devastatingly handsome god his people have ever seen. And his people, we just lose our fucking minds, start babbling like idiots around him. And he smiles, and he likes it. For a god that's not known for his sense of humor or being, very open with people, he actually smiles, and I think he likes it. He loves us in a way. He just has certain things to uphold. He is a king, even though we usually forget that, and he is a leader of people. He is also a poet, and he's also a scholar, and he's also a warrior, and everything else he needs to do. Don't know if I said it this recording, but if there's anything to be done, Odin has already done it, and he can do it better than anyone else. And he's made sure there's a crowd around, and everybody saw him, and he got praise and acclaim for it. Unless he was stealing something, then that's different. But other than that, he will make sure there is a crowd to see him do this thing and see him do it better than anyone else, because he loves that. And he loves testing himself, continuously pushing himself, continuously getting better at things. And he will push any of his people to do the same thing. And you don't have to be, totally dedicated to Odin, in my experience. You can usually end up, people end up working with Loki a lot of time, end up with Odin in their lives too. It's what happened to me. And he will just decide you're his too. You belong to him too. And he will work that Odin charm on you. And it might happen overnight, or it might take years to happen, but eventually you'll realize you turn into a babbling idiot when Odin shows up, and you're willing to do everything for him, and whatever Odin tells you to do, you will do. Though sometimes he likes, like Loki, to just grab you by the scruff, throw you in the deep end, and see if you could swim. Sometimes there are going to be times you're going to need advice, and you're going to go to Odin, and he's going to be like, I want to see what you're going to do on your own. You do it on your own, and I'll see what you do. One thing with me, he likes to give me messages like all the time, but he likes to mess them up deliberately. He does like to pretend to be other gods, so I don't know, like some days if I'm working with multiple gods or it's just Odin and Loki, I will never know. And, he just gets enjoyment out of playing with his people. He can't play too rough, he can't make you cry, and once he realizes he made you cry, he's a good alpha wolf. He will apologize in Odin's own way. It's not going to be with hearts and flowers, but he's going to get as close to an apology as Odin's ever going to get. So there is that. He loves his people. He will take care of you. You're not going to starve. You're always going to have shelter. He's not a god of luxury that I know of. There are people that have done well by him. There are people that, certainly do well because they include Odin, and then all of a sudden they've got a tidy writing career or something like that. But I've never seen him make anybody like LeBron James rich or something. You're not going to probably become president of the United States working with Odin. You could, I don't know, but I don't think it's going to happen. His people are usually in communication of some kind of sort, so they're usually like on YouTube or writing or, talking in public. They're really good people to join one second. Really good people to join a Hoff or something. They're really good leaders, really good organizers. Almost too good at times. They do have to watch because Odin is a god of extremes. He is a god of ecstasy, and once Odin puts his power on you, you can't stop. You guys have seen the springtime crazies he gives me where it's 4, 5, 6 videos in one day, and I just can't stop, and it's like you're asking Odin to take his power off of you, but it's like you're dead tired and you keep moving forward and you keep doing and you keep creating because tomorrow you might not be able to create, you know? So Odin's definitely the thing of like, even now, I'm like, I'm tired. I can feel my body's achy. I want to go quit in the worst way, but it's kind of that Odin thing of almost not like he's literally behind you holding his hand over you, but it's like his power is holding you up and keeping you going until you accomplish the task. Then he'll be like, okay, and he'll let you rest, and you'll rest. I There's just so much you could say about him, but sometimes it's like everybody's different because we've all read the articles about the extreme violent scary Odin, and we've all read the articles about Sweetie Pie Odin who would never do anything bad to his people. And the Odin I work with is both extremes. He's sweet and cute and adorable, and he loves you, and let's bake cookies and cook together, and he's sweet and he's warm, and if you're in that kind of relationship, he's very tender and everything else. And he's also special ops and get out of bed, and I think you should get up, my dear. And that's a warning, by the way. I learned that the hard way. It's a warning. And it's like, I think you should do this now. It's like a warning, and just, he's not going to physically hurt you. He's not going to lay a hand on you, but he will make sure you get moving. He will inspire you to move. He's Odin. Sometimes he will put you in a situation where you'll either have to sink or swim. And, like I had like stuff happen in the house and everything, and like I've had other stuff happen. He will make his people think on his feet, but like Loki, he will usually bail you out. If you would start to drown, I'm almost pretty sure he'd bail you out, though none of Odin's stories ever end well for the humans, come to think of it. But, why do you keep working with him? Because you'll end up falling madly in love with him and under his spell, so to speak. And Odin can do no wrong, even though you know all the wrong he's done. It's like, oh, Odin, he's so cute. And he could do something wrong and tell me he did it. Like, tell me he did something dishonest or mean or imitated another god or anything. I'd be like, I can see why you did it, because he'll do whatever he needs to do to complete his objective. And sometimes if that is treating his people unfairly or cheating you or robbing you blind, he will do that. But he's Odin. He does have a plan. I swear he does, like Loki. And usually the brothers back each other up, which is why I always have Loki and I always have Odin, because they will back each up, defend each other's turf, and support each other. I know very well now that I come to think of it, it was one of them imitating another god today, but they're both tricksters. They're both tricksters. They'll both rob you blind. And just closing note: if you would ever hurt one of their people, they're never gonna find your body. Um, if you are out and you need protection, you can call on any god you like. You can definitely call on Thor or something, but Odin is absolutely savage like Loki is if his people are in trouble. They're just never gonna find the fucking body if his people are in trouble, just so you know. And it doesn't mean we go out and we start shit. If you go out and you start shit, they may let you end up in the hospital. But if somebody would attack you or you would be in an accident or something like that, nobody's gonna find the fucking body because these are Norse gods. They're not Jesus by any stretch of the imagination. So I know that probably made him sound terrible, but really he is a very loving god. You're safe with him. He's never going to hurt you. He's never going to abandon you, much to your dismay, because there will be times we'll be begging him to leave you. But he is wonderful and very rewarding. It's just he's gonna find every weakness in you and pull it to the surface and beat you to death with it. But in the end, if you can survive and keep your mental stability, you will be a stronger person. He's kind of like the toughest god you'll ever love next to Loki. They're both psychotic and I love them to death. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe. Oh my god, we reached the 20-minute mark again. That seems to come in the trademark for this series. So I will see you guys later. Bye bye.